The corridor was never safe. It was simply necessary. 40 miles of exposed highway. Insurgent-controlled high ground on both sides. And no alternate route. Air cover was scheduled overhead at 1400 hours. It never checked in. Static isn't just noise, it's exposure. Movement on elevation. Too distant for confirmation. Close enough to matter. The first device wasn't hidden well. It was meant to be found. That was the warning. No rotor wash. No jet engine. Just heat. And waiting. First shot came from elevation. A test round. They were measuring reaction. He didn't return panic. He returned controlled fire. Secondary charge confirmed. The convoy was positioned exactly where they wanted it. One vehicle down. One wounded. Corridor narrowing. Forward was wired. Rear was burning. Elevation was hostile. And air support was still silent. It wasn't random fire anymore. Two positions. Cross angles. They were tightening the perimeter. This was no probe. This was coordination. There was a scope on that ridge, waiting for an exposed head. The glint lasted less than a second. Long enough.
Falcon 1, this is Atlas 6. Immediate air status check.
Primary frequency dead. Backup frequency dead. Air support was not delayed. It was gone. Disabled vehicles don't stay neutral. They become anchors. And anchors under fire turn into coffins. Retreat meant ambush. Waiting meant attrition. There was only one direction left. Through it. Momentum changes geometry. Stationary targets are predictable. Moving steel is harder to solve. The breach had begun. Not every device is wired the same. Not every plate is pressure triggered. Sometimes survival is measured in inches. The first device was distraction. The second was timing. They waited for movement. Then they triggered the real charge. They adjusted positions. Closed distance. High ground alone wasn't enough anymore. They wanted angles inside effective range. There's a moment in every engagement. When hesitation disappears. When the only variable left is commitment. The convoy was no longer trapped. It was forcing an exit. Movement complicates medicine. Armor protects from bullets. It does not steady hands. Wounded. And still inside the kill zone. Dust favors the defender. It blinds movement. It hides shooters. And it makes every ridge feel closer than it is. They adapted quickly. Elevation fire wasn't enough. They were shifting to flanking angles. Shortening the distance. One round. 2 inches lower and command collapses. Armor buys seconds. Discipline keeps them alive. Pressure doesn't announce itself. It accumulates. Wounded inside. Flankers outside. Visibility collapsing. And still no air cover. Command is not volume. It's stability under weight. Combat burns more than ammunition. Engines pushed at full throttle. Extra weight. Constant acceleration. Fuel was no longer guaranteed. Mobility keeps a convoy alive. Lose one vehicle, and the formation stretches thin. Stretch thin enough, and the enemy cuts between. They weren't trying to destroy the convoy on open ground anymore. They were shaping the terrain, forcing steel into a funnel, and waiting at the narrowest point. Open terrain offers distance, narrow terrain offers traps, and the corridor was closing. The road didn't end, it narrowed into resistance, a blocked bend, armed positions, and nowhere else to turn. An RPG changes distance. It removes armor advantage, and in a narrow corridor, there's nowhere to absorb the blast. Half a second. That was the margin. Reaction beats trajectory, and trajectory was lethal. Steel doesn't care about courage. Engines fail without warning, and a stalled vehicle in a choke point becomes a target marker. Casualties change priorities, but they do not stop the mission. The medic moved him away from the blast side. Inches matter inside steel. There are moments when the map ends. When the only option left is force and friction. He chose the gap, and committed the steel. Armor against sheet metal. Mass against obstruction. The bend would not hold. At close range, hesitation is fatal. Training reduces distance to decision. 3 rounds. Threat neutralized. The corridor punished hesitation. Every inch stolen from stone. Every scrape paid in steel. Distance from contact buys survival. Fuel buys distance. And the margin was shrinking. The bend was forced. Not secured, not cleared, forced, and the corridor still had miles left.
Atlas 6, this is Falcon 1, delayed by weather diversion, ETA 12 minutes.
Air support wasn't gone. It was late. 12 minutes in open terrain is an eternity. Fuel doesn't negotiate. When it runs dry, steel becomes stationary. They weren't finished at the bend. Open ground favors speed, and speed favors pursuit. Movement buys survival. But blood loss ignores momentum. The clock inside the vehicle was running faster than the one outside. Split formations die in detail. Leave one vehicle behind, and the enemy isolates it. But slow down, and the entire convoy becomes vulnerable. Chaos kills structure. Structure restores control. He shifted them into a rolling defense. No vehicle alone. No blind arc. Pursuit relies on engine power. Disable the engine, and aggression stalls. Fuel margin expired. Steel without motion is a fixed coordinate. Recovery in open ground is exposure. But leaving steel behind guarantees loss. Air support finally arrived. 12 minutes late. The convoy was still intact. But barely. Reinforcements were coming. Speed in numbers. But now they were visible from above. Air power isn't loud at release. It's quiet, until impact. One strike. Pursuit ended. Corridor temporarily secured. Air closed the gap. But extraction was still ground work. Mobility restored. Formation intact. Extraction back on schedule. He was stable. Not safe, but alive. Sunset shortens engagement windows. And favors withdrawal. Command isn't volume. It's steadiness under fire. The corridor ended. The convoy did not. 6 vehicles entered the corridor. 6 vehicles exited. 1 wounded. Multiple damaged. Air arrived late. Discipline arrived on time. Extraction complete.